All right, so today we're going deep on something I'm sure you've heard of.
Oh, yeah.
TikTok.
Definitely.
Viral dances, catchy tunes,
For sure.
maybe even the source of some of your late night procrastination.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what happens when this global phenomenon
Yeah.
runs right into national security?
Yeah, that's the story we're looking at today.
Yeah, that's what we're unpacking today.
It's really interesting to see how governments are dealing with all of this,
Right.
this new reality,
Yeah.
Like, where's the line between personal freedom and national security in this digital age?
Exactly. Like, take Canada, for example.
Right.
They just ordered TikTok to shut down their offices there.
Well,
They're saying it's a national security risk because of the parent company in China,
ByteDance.
ByteDance, right? But they haven't banned the app for regular users.
Oh, wow.
So it's like they're saying, we don't trust the company,
Right.
but, you do you.
Yeah, like a mixed message, right?
It's a real mixed message. What do you think?
It shows just how hard it is for governments these days, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep people's data safe?
Right.
And guard against, like, foreign influence, but also respect individual choices?
Yeah.
It's a tough balance to strike.
It is a tough balance.
Yeah.
And then you've got the U.S. stepping in with a much bigger move.
Oh, really?
Like basically telling ByteDance,
Mm-hmm.
sell TikTok to an American company,
Okay.
or we're banning it.
Wow.
And of course, TikTok's fighting back in court in both countries.
Makes sense.
So this is far from over.
Definitely not over.
It really makes you wonder, what is it about TikTok that makes it such a security threat?
Right.
Well, we've got some sources here that get into the details.
Okay, great.
Even some pretty concerning statements from the FBI director himself.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's hear it.
So let's start with Canada.
Okay.
They've been pretty upfront about why they're giving TikTok the boot.
Right.
It all comes down to national security risks.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying it's directly tied to ByteDance.
Right.
And I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
What if a foreign government had access to your data,
Oh, gosh.
all your personal stuff, your browsing history,
Uh-huh.
location,
Right.
maybe even could control what you see online?
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's what they're worried about.
I can see why.
Yeah, and remember, this is after they already banned TikTok from government devices earlier this year.
Oh, right?
So they're serious.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
And this whole thing about data and control,
Yeah.
it's not just governments that are worried.
Right.
We're seeing the education sector pushing back, too.
Yeah, you're talking about that $4 billion lawsuit in Ontario.
Exactly.
The school boards there are suing TikTok and other social media giants.
Huge. Yeah.
They're saying these apps are disruptive, addictive,
Yeah.
and harmful to students. They're basically arguing that these platforms are creating addiction and mental health problems and making it harder for kids to learn.
Wow.
So they're saying these companies are putting profits ahead of the well-being of their users.
Especially young people.
Especially young people.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And this worry about social media's impact,
Right.
especially on kids.
Yeah.
We're seeing that in the U.S. too.
Absolutely. So while Canada is dealing with all this,
Right.
the U.S. is taking an even stronger stance.
Okay.
They've given ByteDance a deadline to sell TikTok
Uh-huh.
or face a total ban.
Wow.
And this brings us to the FBI director, Christopher Wray.
Okay.
He's been pretty vocal about his concerns.
Yeah, what's he saying?
And it's not just about data privacy.
Okay.
Back in 2022, he warned that the Chinese government could use TikTok to collect data on millions of users.
Oh, wow.
And not just that,
Uh-huh.
they can manipulate the algorithm.
Oh, so like control.
Yeah, control what you see and what you don't see. And then there's the possibility of them getting into people's personal devices.
Oh, geez.
So it's not just what they know about you.
Right.
It's what they could do with that information.
Yeah.
It's about control and influence.
This is making me think twice about using TikTok.
Me too.
It's complicated, right?
It's a really complex issue.
There are no easy answers.
No easy answer.
To really get it, though, I think we need to look closer at how TikTok's algorithm works
Okay.
and what kind of data they're collecting.
All right, let's do it.
So TikTok's algorithm, it's known for how fast it learns your preferences.
Really?
Yeah, like really quickly.
Interesting.
It looks at your viewing habits, the videos you like,
Okay.
accounts you follow, even how long you watch certain clips.
Wow.
So it can create a feed that's just for you.
So it's like predicting what you want to see before you even know.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
It is cool.
But also a little creepy.
Yeah, a little creepy.
I mean, it's great for entertainment. Right.
But it could also be used for manipulation.
That's the scary part.
It is scary.
Imagine a foreign government
Uh-huh.
wanting to push a certain message
Right.
or influence public opinion.
Yeah.
They could just hijack the algorithm
Oh, wow.
and feed people whatever content they want.
That's unsettling.
And then there's the data collection.
Right.
TikTok gathers a ton of information.
Like where
Your location,
Okay. Yeah.
browsing history,
Uh-huh.
contacts,
Right.
even what you type while using the app.
They track your keystrokes.
They do?
That seems like a whole other level.
It does, right?
It makes you wonder, is anything really private anymore? It's a good question.
It is a good question.
And this brings us back to those lawsuits,
Right.
both in Canada and the U.S.,
Mm-hmm.
that are specifically targeting how TikTok is designed
Right.
and the potential for harm.
So let's talk about that U.S. lawsuit first.
Okay.
You've got 14 attorneys general going after TikTok.
That's a lot.
It's a big deal.
What are they saying?
They're basically accusing TikTok of intentionally targeting children
Mm-hmm.
with features that are addictive
Okay.
to make as much money as possible,
Right.
even though they know it could be harmful.
So they're saying TikTok is knowingly exploiting kids for profit.
That's what they're saying.
That's serious.
That's a very serious accusation.
To really understand their argument, though,
Yeah.
we need to look closer at these features
Okay.
and why they're causing so much trouble.
All right, let's break it down. So what features are they targeting?
Okay, so for example,
Mm-hmm.
beauty filters.
Oh, yeah.
They can contribute to unrealistic beauty standards
Right.
and negative body image.
Especially for young users.
Absolutely.
They're already bombarded with these images of so-called perfection.
It's like that saying, comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and these filters make it almost impossible not to compare yourself.
Do these digitally enhanced,
Right.
often unattainable versions of beauty. Then you've got autoplay and infinite scroll.
Oh, yeah.
These are designed to keep you hooked.
Right.
It's really hard to stop
You just keep scrolling and scrolling.
for hours.
You lose track of
Because
things.
it's falling down a rabbit hole.
Totally.
You start with one video, and then suddenly an hour is gone.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And then there's the time-sensitive content,
Okay.
like TikTok stories and TikTok Live.
Right.
That whole fear of missing out.
The FOMO.
Yeah.
It's like they create this sense of urgency.
It's like you have to keep checking back,
Yeah.
or you'll miss something.
I feel that.
Right.
Like this little voice saying, what if everyone else is having fun without me?
It's hard to resist.
It is hard to resist.
And then there are push notifications.
Oh, yeah. Those little...
Digital nudges
Yeah.
pulling you back in.
Right.
Sometimes they're even fake.
Really?
Yeah, just to get you to open the app.
It's like a trick.
It is.
And then there's the whole social validation thing.
Oh, yeah.
The likes, the comments, what follow it.
Especially for young people, that can be addictive.
Totally.
That constant need for likes and comments.
Yeah.
It can make people use the app compulsively
Right.
and affect their self-esteem and mental health.
It's like your sense of worth gets tied to how many likes you get.
Exactly.
So the attorneys general are saying that these features,
Mm-hmm.
while they might seem harmless,
Yeah.
are actually designed to exploit our psychology, to keep us hooked,
Mm-hmm.
no matter the consequences.
That's the argument.
And, I mean, there's a lot of research on the impact of social media on mental health,
Right.
especially for young people. Studies have linked excessive social media use to anxiety,
Depression.
even body image issues.
Yeah, serious stuff.
So what does TikTok have to say about all this?
Well, they strongly deny the allegations.
Okay,
They say it's inaccurate and misleading,
right.
and they point to the safeguards they have in place.
Okay, like what kind of safeguards?
Well, they say they take down accounts that they think belong to underage users,
Okay.
and they offer things like screen time limits and restricted mode.
So they're saying they're not ignoring the issue.
Right.
They're trying to address it.
Exactly.
But I mean, do those safeguards really make a difference?
It's a good question,
It is.
and it leads to a much bigger debate.
About the role of technology in our lives.
Exactly.
It's like this tension.
Between personal responsibility
Right.
and corporate accountability.
Yeah. Individuals need to manage their own social media use.
Right.
But shouldn't companies also be responsible for designing their platforms?
To minimize harm.
Yeah, to minimize harm.
It's a conversation that's bigger than just TikTok.
Right.
We need to think about the ethics of all these technologies,
Social media.
AI algorithms.
Yeah. And how to make sure they're being used responsibly.
It feels like a race to keep up.
It does.
Technology changes so fast,
Yeah.
and our laws and ethics are struggling to catch up.
We can't just sit back and let it happen.
We need to be part of shaping the future.
We need to understand the risks
Right.
and make informed choices about how we use technology.
We can't just be passive consumers.
Right.
We need to be active in shaping the future of technology.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to Canada.
Okay.
They have these national security concerns,
Right?
but they haven't banned the app.
It's interesting.
They-
What kind of precedent does that set
Yeah. What are the consequences of that?
economically?
Diplomatically.
It's a complicated situation.
It really is.
On one hand, Canada is saying they're taking these security threats seriously.
Right.
But on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
they're also acknowledging how popular TikTok is
Yeah.
and maybe the cost of a total ban.
Like the economic and social cost.
Exactly.
So it's like they're trying to find a balance.
Between protecting their citizens
Uh-huh.
and respecting freedom.
Yeah. It highlights how difficult it is for governments in this digital age.
It really does.
There's no easy answers.
And every decision has trade-offs.
For sure.
It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky.
It is so fascinating how TikTok has become this, like,
I know, right?
focal point for all these big issues.
It really has.
Data privacy, national security,
Freedom of speech.
corporate responsibility, like the whole nature of the internet.
It's like a mini version of the digital age.
Yeah.
All these big questions
Mhm.
focus on this one app
And the decisions being made now.
by governments and tech companies.
Right.
They're going to have a huge impact for years to come.
They really will. So let's try to put it all together.
Okay.
We've got governments taking action against TikTok, saying it's a security risk.
Right.
Lawsuits claiming it's addictive and harmful.
Especially to kids,
And TikTok fighting back.
saying they care about safety
Right.
and they're being unfairly targeted.
So what does all this mean for our listeners?
I think the big takeaway
Yeah.
is we need to be informed
Mm-hmm.
and engaged.
Right.
We can't just passively use technology.
Yeah. We need to understand how these platforms work,
The data they collect.
the risks,
We need to think critically about what we're seeing.
and make choices about how we use these apps
It's about taking control,
of our online experience.
not letting algorithms control us.
Exactly. And this is an ongoing thing.
The digital world is always changing.
We need to stay informed and adapt.
We've talked a lot about the risks of social media.
Right. But there are good things too.
Of course.
Connection, creativity, social change.
How do we balance those benefits
Yeah.
with the concerns we've been talking about?
That's the key, finding that balance,
Using these platforms thoughtfully,
setting boundaries,
being mindful of our well-being,
and demanding more from these companies.
holding them accountable for creating safer spaces,
More ethical.
more transparent.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into TikTok,
And the digital world in general,
we have a lot to think about.
what's our responsibility?
As individuals, as a society,
How do we shape the future of technology
how do we use these platforms for good?
and minimize the harm?
It's a tough challenge,
No easy answers.
but it's a conversation we all need to be part of.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
As we navigate this digital world,
Mm-hmm.
let's be curious.
Yes,
Let's think critically.
absolutely.
And let's work towards a future where technology serves us.
Not the other way around.
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Stay curious and stay engaged.
Yeah, tricky stuff.
It really is. It's fascinating to see how TikTok has become this, like,
I know.
center point for so many bigger issues.
It really has.
You know, we're talking about data privacy, national security, freedom of speech,
Mm-hmm.
corporate responsibility, the whole nature of the internet.
Yeah, it's like a microcosm of the digital age, isn't it?
Yeah.
All these complex questions coming together
Right.
on this one platform
Yeah, and the decisions made today,
by governments and tech companies.
they'll have a ripple effect for years to come.
Absolutely.
So let's try to bring it all together.
Okay.
You've got governments taking action against TikTok, citing serious security risks.
Right.
You've got lawsuits saying the app is intentionally addictive and harmful, especially to young people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got TikTok pushing back, saying they're committed to user safety and they're being unfairly targeted.
Right.
So what does it all mean for the listener?
I think it really highlights how important it is to be informed,
Yeah.
to be an engaged digital citizen.
Yeah.
We can't just passively consume technology.
Right.
We have to understand how these platforms work,
Uh-huh.
the data they collect,
Mm-hmm.
the potential risks.
We need to think critically about what we're seeing
Absolutely.
and make conscious choices about our digital habits.
Yeah, it's about taking ownership,
Yeah, of our online experience.
not letting the algorithms decide for us.
Right, and it's an ongoing conversation.
For sure, the digital landscape is constantly changing.
We need to stay informed.
We have to adapt.
We've talked a lot about the potential risks of social media, but let's not forget the positive aspects.
Absolutely.
I mean, these platforms can be powerful tools for connection, creativity, even social change.
How do we balance those benefits?
Yeah, how do we balance those benefits with the very real concerns that we've been talking about?
That's the key question.
Yeah.
It's about using these platforms thoughtfully, intentionally,
Right.
setting boundaries, being mindful of our digital well-being.
And demanding more from the companies that create these platforms.
Exactly.
We need to hold them accountable for creating safer and more ethical and more transparent digital spaces.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into TikTok and the broader digital landscape, we're left with a lot to think about.
Definitely.
What responsibility do we have as individuals and as a society to shape the future of technology?
Big questions.
How do we harness the power of these platforms for good while mitigating the potential harm?
It's a tough challenge.
It is.
There's no easy answers.
But it's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
Absolutely well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Stay curious.
And stay engaged.